got players doing hump celebrations. We have mascots dancing in subway trains. A team apparently stole their opponent's signs legally and beat them because of it, as well as fans going to war over baseball games. Players trolling them in response, egging them on, blowing them kisses, and having historical playoff appearances. MLB is boasting about increases in viewership, while one of their biggest stars is being called a choke artist. Their future superstar is getting booed and became public enemy number 1 in Kansas City, and the best pitchers in the league can't stop blowing games. The 2024 MLB playoffs have already taken 100 twists and turns, and it all started with 4 series between 8 teams whose entire seasons would be decided in just 3 days. And for some, they ended in the most disappointing ways possible. The Braves were projected to win more games than any other team in baseball. Then, the entire roster basically got hurt. They snuck in the playoffs on the last day of the season and immediately found out that their star pitcher was also hurt. They had to start a guy who pitched 1 game in MLB all season. He got shelled. They pitched Max Fried the next day. He also got hurt, and the Braves got swept by the Padres. The Orioles had similar expectations. Over the past 2 years, they've had the best record in the AL. They won the division last year in over 100 games, went the entire season without getting swept 1 time, then went to the playoffs and instantly got swept. This year, things were supposed to be different. They had the 4th best offense in the league, but got to the playoffs and couldn't score. This homer by Cedric Mullins was literally their only run. Over the past 2 years, they've played 5 postseason games and only have had a lead for 1 inning. They lost 2 in a row to the Royals and got swept for the 2nd year in a row. The Mets, however, had the opposite expectations. The Mets even being in the wildcard round seemed unlikely. They had lost their first 5 games of the season. At one point, they were 11 games under 500. They only had a 7.9% chance to make the playoffs at one point, but ever since McDonald's mascot Grimace threw out the first pitch at Citi Field in June, they have the best record in baseball. Now there are grimaces all over New York. They've been seen chugging beers during rain delays, distracting opposing teams' pitchers. They painted grimaces on the New York subway trains. Grimace himself has been riding the train and going crazy with fans. Now Grimace costumes are everywhere around the stadium, and the team even installed a purple seat in the stadium as a tribute to Grimace. This team was on the brink of elimination on the last day of the regular season, and after blowing a lead against the Braves, the Mets looked screwed.
Another fucking collapse! I have it again! It's fucking happening again!
But down to their last 2 outs, their star shortstop came to the plate, and on the very first pitch he saw,
Lindor gets under one to center field. Harris going back, back near the wall, and it's out of here!
And now the Mets can't stop pulling off miracles. This earned them a matchup with the Brewers, a team that's been beefing with them all season. In the very first series of the season, Rhys Hoskins slid into Jeff McNeil to break up this double play. McNeil screamed at him and stuck a finger in his face. McNeil called Hoskins the dirtiest player he's ever seen, and Hoskins kept calling him a crybaby. As the 2 teams argued on the field, things got worse. The next day, Hoskins went off, got 3 hits, including a bomb, and the very next time he came to the plate, this pitch was thrown behind him. Hoskins got upset. The pitcher was suspended 3 games. Then the Brewers swept the Mets and told them to be quiet after recording the last out. Fast forward to the last series of the season. Jesse Winker comes to the plate. He used to play for the Brewers, but hated it. He had a terrible season and was even booed by Brewers fans in his final game. There's speculation that Winker didn't get along with the Brewers while he was in Milwaukee. So when the Brewers got the chance, they nailed him with a pitch.
Well, that was on purpose, you think? Yes, 100%.
And only a week after this, these 2 teams matched up again in the playoffs. The Mets barely squeaked in. They had played a doubleheader across the country the day before, gave up multiple runs in the first inning without even getting an out, and once again looked screwed. But almost immediately, they struck back. Jesse Winker came up in the second and hit a triple, started staring down Willy Adames while he was rounding the bases, tied the game, started talking about the Brewers to his own dugout, then got in a screaming match with Adames in the middle of the game. Adames told Winker to meet him outside after the game. The Mets ended up taking game 1, and according to Adames, he waited in the parking lot for Winker, but Winker never showed up. In the meantime, the tides turned for the Mets. They squandered a lead in Game 2. On the back of multiple homers by Jackson Chirios, the Brewers evened up the series. Then, in the winner-take-all game, they were shutting the Mets down. After striking out 8 times in 8 innings and only getting 2 hits the entire game, the Mets were served a death punch in the 7th. Back-to-back home runs had Milwaukee going crazy. Going into the 9th, the Brewers had a 93% chance to win and eliminate the Mets, as they put in arguably the best closer in baseball. But according to some, this actually helped the Mets. Devin Williams has 2 pitches, a fastball and arguably the best changeup in baseball. However, video of this appearance shows that Williams was subconsciously changing his glove position every time he threw a changeup. His glove was slightly flatter when he threw his changeup and more vertical when he threw his fastball. Williams was likely tipping his pitches. It may not seem like a big difference at all, but MLB players are trained to watch for things like this. Teams have employees whose entire job is just to watch for things like this. The Mets, likely knowing Williams did this before the game, probably watched his glove and knew every single pitch that was coming before he threw it. Francisco Lindor led off with a walk. Then Brandon Nimmo got a hit, bringing up Pete Alonso to the plate, and down by 2 runs, down to their final 2 outs on a 3-1 count.
Swinging a fly ball to right field, pretty well hit, Freeland back at the wall, he jumps, it's gone, he did it, he did it!
Devin Williams had faced the Mets 7 times in his career and only gave up 1 hit. He's only given up 3 runs all year and has only allowed 1 home run all season, but in this game, he allowed 3 hits, 4 runs, and a homer in 1 inning. To make matters worse, Jesse Winker got hit by a pitch, stole second, scored, and slammed his helmet to put a dagger in the Brewers season. The Mets somehow advanced, setting up a matchup with their rivals, the Phillies, while the Brewers season ends with their best pitcher blowing a game when it matters most, and that has been a theme this postseason. Closers can't stop blowing games. In the first 23 postseason games, there was a game-tying or go-ahead home run hit in the 7th inning or later 7 different times. Last year, in twice as many games, this only happened 5 times. Teams keep losing in the most heartbreaking ways, like the Astros, who paid their closer $95 million. Facing the Tigers, they had 4 separate players on their team who made more than the entire Tigers roster combined. In the past 7 years, they've been to the ALCS 7 times, won the AL 4 times, and won the World Series twice. They are a juggernaut. The Tigers haven't been in the playoffs in a decade. They only have 2 starting pitchers on the roster. Were so bad this year, they traded away their best players, knowing they had no chance. At one point, only had a 0.2% chance to make the playoffs, and somehow got in, taking the final spot. And despite having the worst record in the postseason, the worst run differential, and the lowest payroll, they shocked the Astros in Game 1. In doing so, however, they used their only reliable starter. So in Game 2, the Astros felt good. The Tigers didn't have a pitcher get more than 5 outs the entire game, but somehow held the Astros scoreless through 6 innings. Then, facing a guy who only pitched in 2 MLB games his entire life, they scored twice and took the lead. The Tigers were now down to their last 6 outs. Strung together a couple hits, and a wild pitch all of a sudden tied the game. With the bases loaded, the Astros bring in Josh Hader. In his first 3 seasons, he has the 6th lowest ERA, 2nd highest K/9, and is the 2nd best reliever in baseball according to WAR. He is making more money this season than every Tiger who played in this game combined. He's facing Andy Ibanez, who at only 31 years old is the oldest player on the team. He's hitting 161 since July 21st and hasn't had an RBI in over a month. But despite this insane matchup and only needing one more strike to get out of this inning,
Flying down the left field line, it is a one-run scores, two-run score. Everybody scores.
Andy Abanya shocks the Astros and the Tigers move on. This is essentially a team filled with nobodies that you've never heard of and the best pitcher in baseball. Most teams have 5 starting pitchers. The Tigers have Tarik Skubal. That's basically it. Practically everyone else isn't a starter or a reliever. They do both. This philosophy is called pitching chaos. They're throwing about 6 different pitchers a game. They rarely pitch more than a single inning, and even the starter usually only pitches an inning. This strategy has worked perfectly for the Tigers down the stretch, but in game 1, their starter couldn't get a single out. They gave up 5 runs in the first inning and couldn't score the entire game. The Guardians scored 7, and their strategy looked like a complete disaster. But the next day, Cy Young favorite Tarik Skubal took them out. He is the best pitcher in baseball. He struck out 7 in 4 innings, got a massive double play to get out of a jam, gave up 0 runs, and told Guardians fans to, quote, shut the fuck up. But at the time, this meant nothing because the Tigers also couldn't score. They hadn't scored a single run in 17 innings and looked completely lost at the plate. But after a double in the 8th, all of a sudden they had an opportunity. The Guardians brought in the best closer in baseball. He throws a 96-mile-per-hour slider, has the 2nd most saves and the lowest ERA in MLB, facing a 24-year-old rookie who's batting .242. After 2 strikes, he looks completely outmatched, but on a 1-2 count,
shot into left center, it is gonna be
and Stephen Kwan makes an amazing play to save the game. This inch was the difference and cost the Tigers the game. With Clase coming out again in the 9th, he instantly strikes out the first guy, then gets a pop-up, and the Tigers looked like they're gonna get shut out again. But with 2 outs, Jake Rogers gets a single. Trey Sweeney then gets a hit. And now the Tigers' entire season is up to Kerry Carpenter. He is 2 for 12 in the playoffs and didn't even start the game. Clase throws a 100-mile-per-hour cutter, then a nasty slider. He just needs one more strike and decides he's going to throw a slider again. Hitters only hit 145 against this pitch. He hasn't given up a homer on this pitch in 2 seasons. Against lefties, he hasn't given up a homer on any pitch all year, but on a 2-2 count,
pitch is swung on, a high fly ball to right field. This one is gonna fly!
this saved the Tiger season. They returned to Detroit where fans went crazy, and all of a sudden the Guardians couldn't get a run in front of the largest crowd in Detroit Tigers history with 6 different pitchers. They shut the Guardians down. The Tigers, with their insane pitching strategy, went 20 straight innings without giving up a single run. They finally did in Game 4, but came back, and in the 7th, they only need 7 more outs to win and advance. Detroit is going crazy. They bring in Bo Brisky, needing just 1 more out to get out of the inning when David Fry
swung on, hit a ton, deep left, green, back, track, wall, go!
This is the 8th game-tying or go-ahead home run in the 7th inning or later in this postseason alone, and it sets up a winner-go-home Game 5 in Cleveland. Once again, the Tigers have their ace on the mound when it matters most, and the Guardians look lost. However, the Tigers also can't get it done. They went 0 for 5 with runners in scoring position and stranded 5 runners in the first 4 innings. But in the 5th, Kerry Carpenter connects. He breaks the tie. Up by 1, they just need to hold the Guardians for 5 more innings, and Tarik Skubal looks unhittable. But this ground ball gets into the outfield. Then Stephen Kwan gets a hit. This weak ground ball somehow ends up getting through, and with the bases loaded, Skubal now has to face the Guardians' best hitter. He nails him. In a tie game with the bases loaded, Lane Thomas now comes to the plate for the biggest at-bat of his life. And on the very first pitch,
Thomas swings, hits a high fly ball deep into left field. It is up. It is going to be a grand slam.
Tarek Skubal hadn't given up a run in 28 innings and just gave up 5 in 1 inning. The Guardians hold off the Tigers for the rest of the game, and just needing one more win to advance, the Tigers combined to go 2 for 25 with runners in scoring position in their last 2 games, ending their magical run. The Guardians are set to face the winner between the Royals and the Yankees, a series that predictably got extremely heated. But before we get to that, a quick word from Geology. I partnered with Geology because I know you guys want clear skin. I know you want beautiful hair, but I also know there's trillions of products all saying they're the best, and nobody has the time to do the research required to actually find the products that will work best for you. Luckily, Geology already did that. Their secret is their products are personalized. You just take their 60-second quiz, tell them your goals, and whether it's acne, dark under the eyes, aging, wrinkles, or just overall skin health, they develop a derm-grade personalized routine specifically for you and deliver it directly to your door. This includes skin, hair, and body. They even have body wash and deodorant. Basically, all of your bathroom needs can be covered by Geology, and all of them are tailored specifically for you. They already have over 10,000 5-star reviews and have won over 35 awards, and now is the best time to try it. Geology is doing an insane deal where they're giving you 70% off your trial set. All you have to do is use code BASEBALL70. On top of that, they also have 50% off add-ons waiting for you. Just use my link in the description, use code BASEBALL70, and you get 70% off your personalized skincare trial set. Do it right now. The Yankees finished with the best record in the AL. They had the second highest payroll in the league, a Cy Young winner, Juan Soto, who's about to become the highest paid position player ever, and Aaron Judge, the best hitter in baseball. But this series, he went missing. Judge went 2 for 13. In game 1, he was 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. As people began pointing out, he has a higher strikeout rate than any other player in postseason history. He came up in game 1 with a chance to take the lead and struck out. The Royals were about to take the lead, but Juan Soto threw them out. The game went back and forth all game. In the 7th, it was tied. Jazz Chisholm gets on base, then steals. He is safe, but not everyone is convinced. The Royals challenge, and some slow motion replays and screenshots make it look like Chisholm's foot wasn't on the bag, but after review, the call stands. Chisholm then immediately scores on an Alex Verdugo hit. The Yankees take the lead and win game 1, all because of this controversial call. Royals fans were not happy, and things got even more contentious. In game 2, Juan Soto gets walked, flips his bat, and stares down Cole Ragans. He returned the favor by striking out Soto and staring him down. Yankees starter Carlos Rodon came out hot, struck out the side in the first, screamed and stuck his tongue out after each strikeout, but Rodon ended up struggling and couldn't make it out of the 4th. The Royals rallied and won, and after the game, Maikel Garcia, who had 4 hits, quoted this tweet and said, quote, "Don't celebrate too early." Jazz Chisholm also had words. He had a bomb this game, and after the loss said, quote, "We're still gonna win it. The Royals just got lucky." And in Kansas City, they did not like this. Chisholm was introduced and got booed. When he came to the plate, he got booed even more. Grounded out, and Royals fans went crazy. When he struck out in the 6th, they went insane. The Royals ended up going on a rally late and got a big hit to score a run. And a few batters later, with a chance to tie the game, Michael Mazzei rips one to right.
Hit right on the nose. Soto in pursuit, dives and gets by him.
Juan Soto can't catch it, and the game is tied. Giancarlo Stanton breaks the tie with a homer of his own, but the Royals instantly responded. They got their leadoff man on, and then Vinny Pasquantino lines one to center.
Line drive, base hit in the center field. It was smothered out there. I don't know if it was caught.
It was caught.
Oh my gosh.
But despite the announcer saying it was a hit, this wasn't a hit. The Royals couldn't score and lose. And the next game, facing elimination, things got even more chippy. After Jazz Chisholm's comments, Miguel Garcia went to Twitter, told the Yankees not to celebrate early, and said he doesn't fear anybody. Then, in the 6th inning of Game 4, he slides into second. The slide is a little late, and shortstop Anthony Volpe makes a little more contact afterwards. Jazz Chisholm was not a fan of this slide. Him and Garrett Cole confront Miguel Garcia, and the bench is clear. After the game, Chisholm said he felt like Garcia, quote, tried to injure Volpe, was talking a lot on social media, and was a sore loser. Miguel Garcia responded with clown emojis. But after this skirmish, the Royals were still down 3 runs. With only 4 innings to go, their season hangs in the balance. Vinny Pasquantino hits a double that scores a run and wakes up the crowd. Tommy Pham then gets a single in the 7th, bringing the tying run to the plate. The Yankees decide to keep Garrett Cole in to face Kyle Isbell, and on a 1-0 count,
Sends this one to deep right. Back goes Soto by the bullpen. And he's got it with his back against the bullpen.
Despite
fence.
being a foot away from tying this game, the Royals fell short while the Yankees will advance and face Cleveland. On the National League side, the divisional series got even more contentious. Both matchups feature division rivals. The Mets are hot. They keep pulling off miracles and seem like a team of destiny, but the Phillies dominated the division all year. They had the 2nd most wins in baseball, had the most hostile home field advantage in baseball, and going into the playoffs were favorited to win the World Series. And the very first Phillies batter to come to the plate this postseason hit a bomb.
Gone. 1-0.
The dangerous Philly lineup looked like it was about to explode on the Mets. But other than Kyle Schwarber, the Phillies didn't end up getting another hit until the 8th inning. With Zach Wheeler on the mound, the Mets also had no chance. He struck out 9, set a postseason record with 30 swings and misses, and only gave up 1 hit. But in the 8th, the Phillies went to their bullpen, and all hell broke loose. They gave up a combined 7 hits and 6 runs in just 2 innings. The Mets took this momentum into Game 2, took a 2-0 lead, and the Phillies offense looked dead. Their season looked over, and fans got impatient. Nicholas Castellanos had chased a few bad pitches already in this series, came up and swung and missed at a ball, swung and missed at another ball, and got booed. The next pitch, he didn't swing and miss at a ball, and Phillies fans started sarcastically cheering him.
Almost a sarcastic cheer.
Castellanos seemed annoyed by this, and according to lip readers online, mouthed, quote, "These people." He then grounded out on the next pitch and got booed even more. The Phillies, one of the best offenses in baseball, are getting shut down at home. A loss basically ends the series, and down by 3, the Mets have an 89% chance to win this game. Then Bryce Harper comes to the plate and goes yard. And before the crowd could even calm down, Nicholas Castellanos comes up and also hits a bomb.
Castellanos, deep to left, just like that. This game is tied.
But just when momentum looked like it had gone to the Phillies, Brandon Nimmo silences the crowd with a go-ahead homer of his own. The Phillies then refused to quit, responding with 3 runs of their own, taking the lead, only needing 3 more outs to win this game, when the Phillies bullpen blows it again. A game that looked over is now tied, and unless the Phillies can score, this is going into extras. The leadoff man strikes out, Kyle Schwarber pops out, and the inning looks dead. But Trey Turner takes a walk. Then Bryce Harper gets walked, and with 2 outs, it all comes down to Nicholas Castellanos. Just 5 innings after getting booed, he's down to his last strike when on a 1-2 count,
Into left field, down the line, it's a fair ball, and the Phillies have tied the series.
the series went to New York, where Mets fans were just as hyped to see their team win.
And all you did the entire game was use inappropriate language, inappropriate gestures.
Oh my God!
There were grimaces all over the city, on subway cars before the game even started, and at concerts in the parking lot. Just 6 months ago, this is what their stadium looked like.
Nobody in the ballpark. 0-5. Hitless through 7. Feels like rock bottom.
But for game one, it was electric as they watched Pete Alonso hit his third home run this postseason to give them the lead. They did not look back and smoked the Phillies at home. Now, just one win away from going to the NLCS, the Mets had a chance early, but struck out twice with the bases loaded in the second. The next inning, they had another chance and squandered it again. In the fourth, they made an error and allowed the Phillies to score. They squandered another opportunity in the fifth, but in the sixth, the Mets had another chance. Down by one, Francisco Lindor came up with the bases loaded. The Phillies brought in Carlos Estevez. He throws Lindor a fastball, and
Lindor towards right center field. This one is back. It is gone. Grand slam.
crushing the Phillies season. A team that had a bullpen ERA of 11.37 in the playoffs. That's the fifth worst bullpen ERA in playoff history. They blew 3 leads to lose this series 3-1 as the Mets wait to play the winner between the Padres and the Dodgers. A series that got violent, and this was a long time coming. Since 2017, Dave Roberts basically attacked a Padres manager. The Padres pissed off the Dodgers by staring at home runs too long, getting in a screaming match. The Dodgers rocked them in the 2020 playoffs, threw their gloves, threw their hats, made the Padres mad, and told them to go home. Fernando Tatis picked like 4 homers off the Dodgers in one series, was accused of cheating by Dodgers pitcher Trevor Bauer, only to tell Bauer that he was his father. Plus, these fans fought each other in the stands, then these guys fought each other in the stands, then this guy went viral for flicking off a Dodgers fan. The Padres then shocked the Dodgers and eliminated them from the 2022 playoffs. Even more fans fought in the stands. The Padres put up a picture of Clayton Kershaw crying after beating them in San Diego. More fans fought in the stands, and this year, Will Smith called Jurickson Profar irrelevant. He then hit a game-winning double against them the next day and went crazy. And that leads us all the way to this year's playoffs, where hit the fan immediately. The Padres made a statement, instantly going up 3-0, but 2 innings later, the best player alive came to the plate.
There's a drive. It's a bullet. Was there any doubt? Shohei Ohtani arrives in October.
This clutch homer ties it and puts the Dodgers right back in the game. These two teams go back and forth all game, but the Dodgers squeak out a 2-run win to go up 1-0. This makes Game 2 a must-win for the Padres, and before they could even blink, Mookie Betts hits a first-inning bomb. He puts his fist up and starts rounding the bases, then realizes this wasn't a homer. Jurickson Profar somehow robbed this home run, then celebrated in the face of fans who were also trying to catch it. The Padres got out to a lead thanks to this bomb by Fernando Tatis Jr., but a few innings later, he got nailed by a pitch. The Padres think this was on purpose. Manny Machado starts saying something to Jack Flaherty, so when he strikes out Machado moments later, he tells him to sit the down. Then, in between innings, Manny Machado threw this ball at the Dodgers dugout. They instantly reacted, and Machado and Flaherty kept screaming at each other into the next inning. But with a 3-0 lead, the Padres felt good. Jurickson Profar, trolling the fan who he robbed from getting a home run ball earlier in the game, went back to him and handed him a ball to make it up to him. This fan then throws the ball back on the field, and moments later, more balls come flying on the field. Profar becomes irate, yells at the bleachers. Umpire and security has to come out on the field. Beer cans were thrown at Fernando Tatis Jr. as he just eggs them on more while more things are thrown on the field. The Padres bullpen also had objects thrown at them as they started beefing with fans as well. This causes a 10-minute delay as Dodger Stadium is going insane. In between innings, Manny Machado gives his team a speech to refocus them. And it works. The Padres hit 6 home runs in this game, tying a record for most home runs by one team in postseason history. Fernando Tatis wouldn't stop egging on fans. He gave them fake tears, stuck his tongue out at them, blew them kisses, and hit his second bomb of the game tying the series at 1. After the game, tensions escalated further. Dodgers manager Dave Roberts said the problem started with Machado, who threw this ball at the Dodgers dugout, said Machado had intent behind this throw, said it was intended at Dave Roberts, and called it, quote, unsettling. Footage of this play became public and was sent to MLB to investigate it, but they decided no punishment was necessary. This series went back to San Diego, and as if it couldn't get any crazier, news broke that Dodgers Game 3 starter Walker Buehler had gotten robbed for his $100,000 watch that weekend at a horse track. Buehler makes the start anyway and gets rocked by the Padres, who go up 6-1 in the second inning. The Dodgers look dead, but a grand slam makes this game close. However, the Padres hold them off and seal the deal. Facing the hottest offense in the world, the Dodgers now need to win 2 in a row or they're done. And in an extremely hostile environment, the Dodgers throw 9 different pitchers and shut the Padres down. They score 8 runs, forcing a winner-go-home Game 5. The first 2 rounds of the MLB playoffs have seen an insane 41% increase in viewership, while this series has set a record for most watched divisional series since FS1 started broadcasting it a decade ago. When Yu Darvish started Game 2, the game was watched by 3.7 million viewers in America, but in Japan, this game was watched by 10.6% of individuals. That's around 13 million people. Over 4 times more people watch this game in Japan than in America. And in a winner-go-home Game 5, a pitching matchup between Yu Darvish and Yoshinobu Yamamoto, 2 of the most decorated pitchers in Japanese history, this game was set to break records. After struggling in Game 1, Yamamoto bounced back and silenced the Padres. Darvish also looked sharp, striking out Ohtani twice, but in the second, Kike Hernandez comes to the plate. He struggled this year and hasn't even had consistent playing time, but he's also a postseason legend for the Dodgers. So in the most important game of the season, he gets the start. And facing Darvish in the second,
Jumps on the first one, sends a high fly ball to deep left field, and Hernandez does it again.
he gets the Dodgers on the board and celebrates with a legendary hip thrust. The Padres offense all of a sudden can't hit. They go 24 consecutive innings without scoring a single run, and in the 7th, Teoscar Hernandez comes to the plate. The Padres decide to keep Yu Darvish in the game, and on a 2-1 count,
Hits it hard, deep left field, the second home run from Hernandez.
Dodger Stadium goes insane. The Padres try but still can't score, and the Dodgers hold on, moving on to the next round, setting up 2 playoff series that are poised to be even more insane.